Hello there. It's Jeff Cardano welcoming you to another Degrassi video. And I've done some weekly polls on Degrassi Reddit. I decided to do every Thursday a poll based on some subject matter that I want to get off my chest and all that. So basically, this is kind of a mini series within the whole Degrassiisms that I do. Well, I know I do unpopular opinions, but that's a different playlist. So anyway, So the first of these videos is one I posted a while ago. And for context, this is being taped on July the 9th, 2021. So basically, a couple of weeks ago, I put a poll, said who was the second biggest villain in the Rick Murray situation. And here is what the story was. As we all know, Rick was his own worst enemy when he took a gun to the school in season 4 and ended up shooting Jimmy and then dying himself. But who would you say is the second biggest villain of this storyline? Playing on a video with the results, if there's one character not in this poll but you want to vote on it, just drop a comment below if you want to justify your selection and comment on why you picked that person. Do so, but keep it short. Don't overanalyze like myself. Now, of course, I basically said, well, the biggest villain is Rick Murray because him himself. I mean, yeah, he got bullied and all that, but he decided to bring a gun to the school to try to cause trouble. I mean, he brought the gun to shoot Paige, even though he didn't shoot Paige. Basically, his intentions were to get rid of Paige. And I know that he got scared and he basically said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And decides not to shoot Paige and decides to clean himself up. And that's when Spinner and Jay basically pin things on Jimmy. And then, Rick goes to shoot Jimmy and then basically wants Emma to die, but Sean saves Emma's life. So anyway, I had 6 options because stupid Reddit only gives you six things. So basically it's the top 10 people who are responsible for this. Of course, Rick would be number 1, but basically, yeah, it's like other than Rick, what's in your opinion? What would be the top 10 villains of this series? Of course, bear with me because the 6 selections and all that, I have to come up with 4 other ones, and I think I may have this one. Number 10 would be Sean for me because lest we forget, Sean actually told Spinner, Jay, and Alex not to go after not to tell Radish about Rick spray painting the cars because he's gonna want to know why Rick would stoop to spray paint. And basically, Jay knew that basically they would incriminate themselves and said we can't do that. So I don't think Sean realizes it all that. And at first, like a few years ago, I thought that Sean kind of had the guilt because maybe he remembered he talked to Jay about this and then set the wheels in motion. But I mean, Sean wouldn't be to blame. I mean, Sean didn't know that Jay, Spinner, and Alex were going to basically try to destroy Rick heavily. So you got to give Sean a bit of a break. I would go with number 9. I would go with the staff/school board. Now, you may be thinking, well, the staff and school board should be 2 separate ones. But no, I'm going to go with staff that leads into the school board and all that because they're kind of the same entity. The reason why I'm going with the school board per se. Oh, no, actually, no. I skipped that one. Sorry. Number 9 is Jimmy. I know everyone says, well, I give Jimmy brownie points for the fact that, he took a bullet and all that and survived. But the fact of the matter is he was bullying Rick and all that even after the Orange Ribbon campaign ended. So basically, I think that I basically think Jimmy, kind of had karma bit on him. But, karma should have bit Spinner or Jay or Alex more so. But I think Jimmy regretted his decisions to bully Rick and all that. So number 8 is the school board. I mean, you could also say the staff too, but basically number 8 is the staff and school board because it seemed like the school board didn't actually do anything to squash Rick's hopes of coming to Degrassi. Now, the question, of course, is did the school board actually tell Radish maybe it's not a good idea to bring Rick to the school? But I think that they basically told Radish it was up to him, and, Radish did the situation and all that. Actually, someone also put, can we add law enforcement and all that? The law enforcement, yeah, but the school board basically was the last person in this and all that. So basically, I hated that. But yeah, the school board screwed up handling Rick and all that. And I think that the school board basically got rid of Raj mostly because they had to pay a settlement to Rick's parents, even though that Rick's a school shooter. Maybe they had to pay a price, and basically Raj's head on a swivel was basically the only thing. But I think the school board screwed up too, and I think the school board reassigned Raj instead of firing him because they figured that if they fired him, Raj probably would have got angry and told the school board that the school board didn't stop him from taking Rick back. Basically, he could have got back at them and all that. Oh, sorry about that. I did do that. Okay, my fault. I thought the student body. I forgot the student body was in the playlist. So basically, number 7 is the law enforcement. I guess no, I could say, well, how about Rick's parents? Number 7. I say Rick's parents because I know that Rick was hiding everything from his parents and all that. But basically, Rick's parents should have pushed harder. And I know Rick's mom believes Rick's stuff and all that. It's hard to say. Maybe Rick did lie a little bit to his parents, saying that he had to pull out of school because he had an accident and people were hurting on him. I think he played on his mother's sympathy. His mother was basically the glue that stuck in the family. I mean, the father was a traveling salesman. A lot of people actually said that, you know, Rick's dad might have been abusive to Rick's mom and Rick himself, and that's why Rick becomes hatred towards girls and all that. Has his cuckoo-ness. It's possible, but I kind of feel that Rick's problems are with Paige and all that. Like, I would probably put Paige as a villain, but it's not really. I can't really do that because Paige did calm Rick down, and basically Paige shows some remorse for her actions, and I can't blame Paige for that. So yeah, I go with Rick's parents at number 7. Number. So here are the 6 votes. All right. So there were 269 people who voted on the poll for the week. I thank you very much. Number 6, last place was Emma with 3 votes. Only 3 people thought Emma was behind this. So I'm just checking the comments to see if anyone said anything about Emma. Well, Kalex put Emma in a sense after Jay, but anyway, yeah. She goes, and I think it's a girl. She goes, Emma's the reason why everybody started bullying Rick in the first place. I'm sure they would have anyway since he hurt Terry. But she started it as a dodge. She dragged him out of the cafe. She tripped him. She started his whole school-wide campaign against violence. It's a clear jab against Rick. She may have tried to stop the violence, but she contributed to it. Should have voted for Emma. And basically I said, reasonably, Paige got Emma to do this campaign to get rid of Rick because they felt powerless. Yes, Emma was petty and all that, but it wasn't all her fault. And yes, she did blame herself for what happened in her son, especially in her son beef Emma phase. I think a lot of these people voted for one person and commented for one person in particular. So anyway, Emma ended up being 6th with 3 votes. So, 5th with 9 votes was Alex. So 9 people thought Alex was the second biggest villain. Of course, Rick's number 1, who's number 2, and they say Alex. Kind of shocking in a sense. But basically, I think Alex, in a sense, was a villain in a sense. But I don't think she was the second biggest villain in my opinion. So anyway, Alex decided, Alex had a point. Like, her mother had to deal with abuse, and Alex basically had to help her mother deal with abusive boyfriends and all that. We would have felt sympathy for Alex if she wasn't just being a bully. If she was just being understanding and all that, I would give Alex a lot of sympathy. But Alex basically wanted to destroy it. And the fact of the matter is that she wanted to destroy Emma. Basically, she wanted Emma to get in trouble with Paige and all that for trying to accept a check. I mean, Emma might have ripped it up. Who knows? But I think Emma wanted the money because, Emma thought it would be a great cause. But she's buying forgiveness, so I don't blame Alex for that. But basically, Alex was a villain. And, she's a vice president of student council and all that. And, she was the one who set up Spinner and Jay putting the paint on Rick. So basically, I think in a sense, and Alex got off scot free because Spinner and Jay, I think, couldn't really pin this on her because they wanted Alex to do well, and they also thought that Alex had no involvement in like tricking tricking Rick into shooting Jimmy. So yeah, Alex I think lived with the guilt internally, but she never said anything about it. Number 4 on the poll with 13 votes was the student body minus named individuals. I think they kind of knew that. So no one commented on Alex or the student body. So basically, the student body, you know, it was just gang warfare, if you will. I feel that in a sense that, the student body kind of felt they needed to do it because the administration refused to listen to their cries for help. I'm just wondering if Marco and Alex basically spread the rumor about they talked to Raj, but Raj was refusing to help. So yeah, the student body took the Orange Ribbon campaign heavily. I mean, as a way to get rid of Rick, and also because they felt like the staff were not doing anything about it. I think the school, like the student, like the staff. I know Snake took responsibility for some stuff and all that, and he was right to take responsibility, but it caused a lot of friction. And the zero tolerance policy was basically used to punish the student body for the fact that Rick was bullied and all that. I think in a sense, they asked for it, but there's a lot of times that the zero tolerance policy wasn't even used by any principal and all that. Number 3 on this list was Spinner. Now we get into the high numbers. Spinner had 55 votes for being the second biggest villain and all that. I kind of find it a little surprising, but yeah. Not too many people actually talked about Spinner. One person said, worst part is Spinner gets ostracized for a few years for involvement in the pain prank. And Jay's involvement is totally forgotten about. In a sense, there's somebody who basically, well, someone actually commented that they can't blame anyone other than Rick. Well, that's fine. But anyway, yes, Spinner getting ostracized and Jay's involvement doesn't get talked about. Well, it's mostly because Jay, doesn't come back to Degrassi after season 4, even though he has a chance to. But I think he basically thinks that he didn't want to go to a school that basically was, in his mind, forcing Spinner to confess, even though Spinner was confessing on his own accord. Like, yeah, Spinner was involved being a bully. I mean, bullying Rick, and they thought he didn't have involvement. He kind of did, because Spinner and Paige, for that matter, were both upset with themselves that they didn't push Terry hard enough to not even go near Rick and all that during the second time around that there were a couple. So basically, Spinner, I think, was just punishing himself, was angry at himself. I mean, Spinner was stupid in the fact that he confessed everything to Jimmy. He was laughing it off and then bragging about it. If he didn't brag about it, I think that Spinner would have probably been in less trouble. But anyway, Spinner's bragging got him in trouble. And in that deleted scene, he chickened. He made the chicken noises towards Rick. Raj hears it and wants Spinner to come at 3:30 for a talk. And that's kind of how Spinner tells Jay that Raj knows. Although, we also kind of know that it's also when you don't see the deleted scene, but you see everything. Is that Spinner tells Jay Raj knows, and I think in that part when you look at it first run, it's like Jimmy's gonna narc on him. Like Spinner, what the hell were you doing, man? Why did you do that? So basically, Jay tries to help Spinner out by blaming Jimmy for everything. Spinner has a guilty conscience. He wants to confess everything because he knows that he's going to be caught. But Jay basically tells him to shut it. Spinner can't go through the charade, even though he should have visited Jimmy in the hospital at least once or twice. He just couldn't do it. I think he stayed away from the hospital because he knew he was going to have his guilt alleviated. And then basically put, the fact of the matter is that, he confessed his role to Jimmy. Now, a lot of people said Spinner should not have confessed, but Spinner would have, because if it came out any other way, then Spinner could have been serving juvie and all that. Spinner was just lucky he didn't have to go juvie or didn't have the police get involved. Hatzalakos didn't involve the police with Spinner's thing. I think Hatzalakos knew Spinner was guilty of this because, Spinner talked to Jimmy and then Jimmy talked to everyone and then everyone shunned Spinner. I think she knew it and then she was waiting for Spinner to confess before she pulled something out of the hat. But yeah, that's the way it goes. And Spinner actually did the right thing by doing like a redemption song. And basically, he knew that he did wrong and he knew he was not going to get everyone back on his side right away. So he basically bided his time and he did pretty good for himself. I like that. That was one of the best things of season 5 is his redemption song. Never mind JT and Liberty's pregnancy storyline or Emma's eating disorder storyline. Now, this is the most shocking. Number 2 was the most shocking to me. So first place had 104 votes and second place had 85 votes. It was actually closer than I thought. But second place actually shocked me more than anything. And that's Radic. Now, it shocks me for one key reason, guys. And that's because I basically think the second biggest fill-in, like Spinner, Jay, and Alex basically bullied Rick into submission. And the second biggest vote getter in my poll is someone who didn't bully Rick. Well, it does make sense. But here's the thing, though. I bet in 2004, if this was done like 15, 16 years ago, Radic probably would not have been that big of a fill-in. But today's state, with all these, problems that the administration ignores their students, especially the Devin Selvey case. Try to find the Devin Selvey video on my Degrassiisms if you want to know more about the similarities between Devin Selvey and Rick Murray. I did a nice video on that. But basically put, everyone blames Radic and all that. A lot of people actually commented on it. Let's see here. Someone said Radic for even letting him back into Degrassi, fair enough. KGM says it goes Radic because the actions and ignorance contributed the most to the tragedy. Tazeless Floyd said Radic was the adult in this situation, and that's why he's terrible. Daily Thoughts said it's a tie for Radic and Jay. Basically, they both fucked up. Fee Rose said something about Alex set up the prank, and it's just as much to blame of Spinner and Jay, but basically she got no punishment. Blue Piss said she voted for Jay, but basically she could have voted to Radic. Rick should not have been allowed to be back to Degrassi. There was no follow-up on him being an actual repeat physical abuser and women beater and literally sent to school from their class to the hospital with long-term brain injuries. And they thought sending him to therapy and then throwing him back into the same students would be a good idea. I would have been mean to him too. He should have been a juvie. At the very least, send him to a different school or do homeschooling. He had a pattern of violent behavior and nothing was done. And for all the teachers to just say, stop bullying, it's so fucked up in my opinion. And then someone said that basically Terry got hurt outside school and basically they couldn't bar someone from a public school. And said that it was up to Terry and her dad to press charges, had nothing to do with the school. Silas Avocado said Radic was an adult and an educator. He should have known better and seen the warning signs. Everyone else was just a kid. How were they supposed to know he was snapped like that? And Arun said, I voted for Radic because ultimately it was his responsibility to do something when he knew the bullying was going on. The kids may have bullied Rick, but it's the adult's responsibility to do something about it, in my opinion. So yeah, a lot of things about Radic. And I agree. Like, Radic kind of screwed himself over. Yeah, we can kind of guess that Dan Woods was probably going to be taken off the show because, he was over in California and basically they had to fly him to Toronto and he wouldn't be in too many episodes. And basically it was just a budget crunch. And the fact of the matter is that, he wanted to leave. I don't know if Dan Woods had any choice about how he left as Radic. But basically, yeah. I mean, Radic basically played himself off for being a jerk and all that, especially with the fact he tells Emma to stay out of it. It's not one of your stupid crusades and all that. And I still believe that he was pissed off of Emma for, not bowing down to him in the genetically modified foods debate. I mean, Emma did back off a little bit, but she used it as freedom of speech. She basically had a new cause. And she told the school about Raj's policies and what Raj friends would do to her. And I think Raj, in a sense, was upset because, he's trying to control the school and he was afraid that he probably would be, like, taken out. Like people wouldn't respect him anymore. And he basically wanted people to respect him. So he became a dick, in a sense. I mean, those two deleted scenes, with him talking to Marco and Alex and basically him dealing with Simpson after Spinner calls Rick a chicken boy. I mean, that would have done a little bit to calm Raj's character. I did several videos on Raj's behavior and all that. You don't have to tell me about this, but basically, yeah, Raj screwed up. He left Rick to his own design, to his own flaws. Now, granted, it's not all Raj's fault in that situation. Rick was not straightforward. Rick should have completely said that, Jimmy is bullying me. If that happened, Raj would have either taken matters or basically said, if it happens again, tell me, I'll deal with it. Not just basically tell Rick that basically you're only upset because Jimmy won't be your friend. It takes two to tango. You got to do a lot better to make friends and all that. That is just plain stupid and all that. And I mean, Raj probably was upset with the Orange Ribbon campaign. I can probably guess that Emma avoided talking to Raj about the bullying if she wanted to, because of the fact that, Raj probably was going to stomp on her for the Orange Ribbon campaign. But Emma probably would have stomped on Paige and her clique. If Emma goes down, Paige goes down with her. I would have loved to see that. But yeah, Raj basically didn't have the answers. He basically, after the shooting, wanted a musical instead of Dracula, feeling that, the students deserve something lighthearted. And, it's in the wake of the tragedy. I get it. Raj could have said, just, we have to postpone it for a little bit because of what happened. Just keep working on it. But no, he wanted a musical because he wanted Degrassi to feel better. People to be more positive about Degrassi. And the fact is, his job, I think he felt terrible. I mean, Raj, I know probably in private basically thought he screwed up. But basically, he was trying to think of the school. But it came off as being egotistical. And basically, Liberty and JT took him to task. And, the drama club didn't want to sing that Raj's song because they didn't want to be expelled, like Alex said. But he was replaced. I think the school board was going to get rid of him before the aftermath and all that. And that's when Hatzlackles came in, and she did a damn good job. And Raj wasn't even mentioned once after he left. That's kind of pathetic, don't you think? And number one with 104 votes was Jay. I knew it was going to be Jay. I voted for Jay. Obviously, I have to vote for one of my picks because I need to see the numbers. And Jay got it with 104 votes. There was a lot of people who said Jay deserved it and all that. And you know what? I totally agree with you. Jay obviously is the second biggest villain. For the fact that Jay basically went with the Rick Rude situation, even though he had no involvement with Terry whatsoever. He had nothing to do with the Terry situation. He was just basically there, I think, because of Alex. But the fact of the matter is that, he had no involvement with Terry and all that. Like, he was just bullying Rick for the heck of being bullying it because he likes to be a bully. So, Jay's just a dick and all that. But you gotta realize a lot of things. The fact of the matter is that, Jay was a dick. Like, his bullying and all that. He basically bullied Toby. He basically did all that. I feel that Jay was kind of an idiot and all that. And basically, he caused trouble. He basically told Rick in the bathroom during the tiebreaker, Whack Your Brain, he said everything was cool and basically knew that if he got Rick's hopes up, he would not see the painted feathers come. And basically, Jay basically tries to help Spinner out because Spinner realizes, oh shit, I just said something wrong. And Jay basically said Jimmy was it. Mostly because with Jimmy switching sides and all that, Jay felt terrible. And Jay basically bullied Spinner and Alex to a point about not telling anyone this stuff. Jay had no remorse. Zero. Silch. Nada. He basically got expelled. Spinner did the right thing by outing Jay, too. And, Jay had no remorse. I know Jay saved Spinner from burning down the school with the yearbooks and all that, which is funny and all that. But, Jay was an idiot. He didn't come back to school. He said that the school needed a scapegoat. I guess he kind of figured that with Radish gone, that the school needed somebody to blame. And they knew Spinner was weak. But Spinner said it on his own accord. Well, I guess Hatzalakos could have called him out on it. But basically, Jay refuses to go back to Degrassi. He's nowhere near Degrassi. He still interacts with Spinner and is upset when Spinner basically calls him out, saying that whatever, I'm around you, bad things happen and all that. And Jay basically actually uses this as a catalyst to try to be better than himself. He's with Manning and all that, which is weird. But Jay actually calms down and behaves himself. I think he kind of realized that he didn't want to lose Spinner as a friend, so he needed to smarten up. And he did. Jay's a dick. I even tweeted Mike Global and said that your character is a dick. He didn't get back to me, obviously, but whatever. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. There will be more videos based on polls coming up in the near future. Bye for now.